All right. So Tony, thank you for agreeing to meet with me and talk about your invention, the doggy fountain.
Okay,
Um,
so you're Anthony Greer then, right?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Um, so I guess I'll start with what was your inspiration behind the doggy fountain?
Actually, it was my daughter. She almost lost her dog to a heat stroke because, well, she went to work. She was going to college full time and going to work part time, and they lived out in the country. And they had their dog tied up between a couple of trees. You know, they run a line from one tree to the other, and then drop down, and so the dog could go back and forth. They put out water and food every day, and then they'd go to work and school and stuff. Well, she happened to have a short school class that day, so she stopped at home before going to work and to check on her, play with her dog and check on her dog. And it was 102 degrees, humidity was around 85%, just miserable. And when she got home to her dog about 1 o'clock that afternoon, she thought her dog was dead. He was just laying down. He wouldn't get up, and she got close to him and kept calling him. He still wouldn't get up. And finally, she got next to him, and he kind of lifted his head up and kind of looked up at her like that. And if she would have went straight to work, the dog would have died from heat stroke. But anyway, she got him cooled off, got him water, got him into air conditioning, and that's when she asked me to, if I had an idea of what we can do, so a dog would never want to run out of water again. And so I told her, I said, well, just get a great big a big tub, fill it up with water. And she said she tried something like that, but the water got hot, it got dirty, the dog played in it, the birds got in it. So I went to the Tractor Supply store, it's a local hardware store, a couple days later to get some nuts and bolts or whatever for my shop. I got a weld shop here. And I went to the restroom. When I came out, I got a drink of water at their fountain, at their water fountain. I stepped on the paddle on the floor and got a drink and started walking away. And as I walked away a couple of steps, I turned around and thought maybe if I could make a dog fountain similar to that, but obviously much smaller. And so that's how that all came about.
It sounds like a really simple idea, and yet it's kind of genius if you think about it. What did you find that it was difficult to train your dog to use this paddle?
No, he learned it like within a day. Well, I made the fountain for my daughter with some materials that I had laying around in my shop. And so I gave it to her. She trained her dog to use it within a day or two. And then she took some video of it and gave it to me on one of those little round discs, like from a Sony camcorder. And I played it, and I said, man, that's pretty cool. I thought it might take her weeks or something to train her dog. She said, no, he learned it within like a day. And so I thought, okay, that's great. I solved her problem. That's that, right? Well, anyway, her future in-laws had seen it, and some of her friends had seen it. They come over, she'd show them. She goes, look at this, look what my dog can do. And they said, well, your dad's got a pretty good idea there. He maybe should make and sell these things. So I first thing I did is I looked on the internet, see if there's anything out there. Then I went to all the pet stores and the hardware stores and Kmart and Sears, everything I could think of, and there was nothing out there like it. So I did a patent search, and they couldn't find anything. So then I eventually filed for a full utility patent in 2007, received my patent in 2010, full utility patent. But in between 2007 and 2010, I started making these, my dog fountains, and started selling them. Built a website, or had a guy build a website for me back in 07. And so, yeah, it just started selling like hotcakes. And then I've been in 5 different contracts with 4 different companies who just fell in love with my product, but due to varying circumstances, that the first 4 didn't work out. And now I'm with another company called Quirky, which Onega knows of them.
You mentioned that you had issues with, just I guess shortcomings with these first 4 companies. Can you elaborate? Like what what were the circumstances in which your
Oh,
product was able to work out with
no,
them?
absolutely. The first company, I was working with an invention company, maybe much like what Onega does, kind of maybe, up in Pennsylvania. They were called inventionhome.com, and they help inventors. That's what they do. So while I was making and selling my product, I was on the internet looking, and I found them. Very reputable company. I trusted them, and it turned out to be okay. But it took them a few months. I sent them my product, and a few months later, they called me and said, "Hey, we got a company that's interested in your product, Premier Pet Products, down in it's either Virginia or West Virginia. I don't remember. That was back in '07." And they said they really love this product. They've never taken on an outside product. It's always been in-house, but they're going to do this. So we signed a contract, and they said it would take about 18 months to research and develop and test and prototype and get product in the market. And I said, oh, so we signed a contract, signed a non-compete, so I couldn't make or sell any more of my fountains. So that was in '07. Well, in the fall of '08, about 14 months later, when the economy started crashing, I don't know if you remember that, but I mean, the stocks went down, housing, auto, everything just crashed. Well, this company dropped out. They just called my representative there at inventionhome.com and told them that they seen what's happening to the economy, so they're not going to invest, and they dropped out. So then the second one, well, this is the fall of '08. So I went to my dog's water bowl started freezing. So I had to go get one of those heated water bowls at the Tractor Supply store. It's a big round bowl about this big, holds about a gallon of water, and you plug it into the wall. And so I run an extension cord out there, plugged it, fill it up. And so on the packaging, I noticed this company was fairly close to me, maybe 2 hours away up by Chicago, about 3 hours away. So I called them and told them what I had, and I sent them some pictures and some videos and stuff, and they really liked it. This was around December of 2008, and they said, well, let's wait till after the first of the year, mid-January, come up and we'll take a look at it. So I went up there mid-January of 2009, and they fell in love with it. They liked it, loved it. So it took us a little while to get some contract signed. We didn't sign a contract for about another 6 months. We just kept going back and forth. But so we signed a contract, and I signed another non-compete, so I couldn't make and sell any more of my fountains. Before I signed, though, I went up there and talked to them, and I said, and then that Shark Tank thing came out, the show, and so I actually did a Shark Tank audition, spring of 2009. They really loved it. I went up to Chicago again for that. I didn't hear back from them immediately, and so another couple months goes by, and I signed a contract with API. Hang on just a second. Go back to talk to my boy. I'm real busy. I'm on a phone call. And so so I ended up signing a couple months later after Shark Tank audition, signed a contract with API. And then it wasn't 2 weeks later, I get a call from Shark Tank, and I still got that recorded message on my phone. A guy named Sean Alley says, we want to talk to you about your dog fountain. And I called him back, told him we'd already signed a contract. I wish you'd have called 3 weeks ago. I missed it by about a week. And so I talked to Tom Ruschi up at API and said, Tom, we got a big opportunity to go on Shark Tank. And he wouldn't do it. He did not want to do it. I begged him and begged him and begged him. He didn't want to do it. So anyway, that's just part of that story. But anyway, so API, it took them about a year, almost a year to the date after we started talking. And they brought product in, and they took it to the Las Vegas Hardware Show 2010. And won Best New Product in its category. I believe it was Lawn and Garden. And these things started selling like hotcakes. And I even bought 100 of them, was selling them myself. And problem was they were defective, they were faulty. About 30% of the units were just terrible. They were just defective and faulty, let me put it that way. So this goes on for another 2 years. And my royalty, my first check was like $4,000, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller. 300, or the next one is actually a negative check, is negative money. Then the next one was like $300, then $200, and then $80, and so this goes on for 2 years. And then the last check was like $15 or $18. And I told him, hey Tom, this is not working out. Let's end our contract and go separate ways. So we did. So then I hooked up with Quirky, Quirky.com, 2013, I believe, and that's like summer 2013, and they had a whole process and voted and all stuff around November, December of 2013. They voted on it. They liked it. They loved it. They said, we're going to do this. So 2014, Christmas of 2014, they bring product out to market, 500 units. They sold out. They stopped selling them. And then 3 months later, they bring another 500 out, sold out again, like within 4 days. They stopped selling them. And then about in spring of 2014 or 15, this is 2015, they brought out another 1,000 units and sold out again. And I kept asking why. This last time I called them up and emailed and called them and emailed, and they wouldn't return any phone calls or emails to anybody. Well, on their blogs and on their forums and everything, everybody's going, oh, what's going on with Quirky? Are they going bankrupt? What's going on? And so eventually they come back up and they said, we're running out of cash. We can't get any more investor money. We're probably going to go bankrupt. If you don't feel comfortable staying with us, pull your patent rights back. By then I had my patent. So they said, pull your rights back. So I did immediately. And then they went bankrupt a few months later. And so while they were going bankrupt and I had my assets back, I went to my fourth company, EdisonNation.com. They help inventors. So I signed up with them. They found a company up in Canada, United Sales and Marketing. They fell in love with the product, like everybody does. They just fell in love with the product. They wanted to do it. So this goes on for another year. And after about a year, 11, 12 months, I get a phone call one day. I'm heading to work, and I get a phone call from my rep over at Edison Nation. He says, Tony, United Sales and Marketing is dropping out. I'm going, what? And I had signed another non-compete agreement, so I couldn't make and sell my fountain. Every time I was making them and selling them, I was doing really well. But when I was in contract with people, I couldn't make and sell them. So I was in contract with API for 3 years, and I was with Premier Pet Products for 14 months, and then with Quirky, and then Edison Nation. And matter of fact, I told Edison Nation, I said, I'm not signing a non-compete this time. I said, I've been screwed. I've been screwed too many times. No more non-competes. When you bring product to market, I'll stop making and selling mine. So, and which I was doing. And then a year later, Edison Nation called and dropped out. And right before they dropped out, when Quirky went bankrupt, a few months after that, several months after, they got bought at bankruptcy. These investors bought Quirky and all their assets in bankruptcy. While I was working with Edison Nation, Quirky called me and said, hey, your faucet, your dog fountain keeps coming up in our meetings, and we'd like to do it again. And I said, well, I can't because I'm in contract with Edison Nation right now. And then when Edison Nation dropped me, I called Quirky again. And they said, yeah, we'd love to do your dog fountain. So we ended up signing a contract, and now I'm back with Quirky. So yeah, it was Premier Pet Products. Premier, API, Quirky, Edison Nation, and now Quirky again. So I'm with Quirky and another company called Viatech. Viatech.com or Viatech, they do the manufacturing, because Quirky used to do the manufacturing, but they don't do manufacturing anymore. They just get inventors to turn their products into them, and then they put it in front of partners. And if they find a partner that wants to make it, they let the partners do all the heavy lifting, and then Quirky gets small cut. But I'm working, I found Viatech, and we got hooked back up with Quirky because Quirky had all the tooling, and they didn't want to sell us the tooling. And So I'm hooked up with Quirky and Viatech at this point. So that's the four different companies, but Quirky twice.
Man, you've gone through quite a journey with
Oh,
huh?
yeah, it's been nuts. It's been up and down and up and down 5 times, you know. So yeah, it's been yeah, a journey. 12 years. I've been working on this for 12 years now. Started in 06 when I made my first dog fountain.
So I guess what's kept you going? What's made you keep wanting to make this product get to market?
Well, the product itself it's amazing. I mean, and I get that from everybody who sees it. Not, you know, of course, it's my product. I made it. Obviously, I'm going to think that. But it's not just me. It's, you know, my friends and my neighbors and my family and complete strangers. You know, I'll be out to dinner. Matter of fact, I was out to dinner last night. There's a little hot dog stand right across the road from my shop here. And I was inside there talking to a couple of guys about, well, I don't know if you'd heard, but these dog fountains that I got right now, a video went viral, and I've sold almost 500 units or 550 units in the last 8-9 days. 5 days last week and the first 4 days of this week, I've sold 550 units. And I was telling them guys about that, and I showed them some videos. I said, hey, I got a patent on this, and this is going nuts. And so after those two guys left, and I was sitting there finishing my beer and a couple of hot dogs, there was a table right behind me, and they said, the guy goes, hey, he says, I heard you talking about your some product that you got on your phone, and you got a patent on it. He goes, I'm a design engineer. He goes, would you mind showing me your product? Him and his wife and his grown kid, the kid was probably 30, 35 years old or something, and these adults they're both retired. And so I showed them a couple of videos of my dog fountain, the dogs using it. And they said, man, that's amazing. I mean, they all just loved it. And they're just like, wow, how did you come up with that idea? And that's great. But it's, you know, like I say, just everybody who sees it. So I knew I had a hit. I know I had a hit. And so you just don't give up. You know, you don't give up on a hit. And of course, with the ups and downs, you know, you're always wanting somebody to, like a big manufacturer, take this global, you know, not just local or statewide, but global. This company I'm working with, the two companies, you know, they're global. They sell all over the world. And as a matter of fact, I shipped a couple of my dog fountains I shipped one to Alaska the other day, which I like, what? And shipped one to Hawaii, which I shipped a few to Hawaii. Puerto Rico, I used to, when I was kind of slow, I would ship them to Australia, Austria, UK, Switzerland, different countries. But now it was just so fast paced. I mean, I shipped 175 this past Monday. 89 on Tuesday, and 93 last Friday. I mean, it's just been amazing. So, and that happens every time one of these videos goes viral. And if I've got stock, I pretty much almost sell out every time. And I think I'm going to sell out this time again. And again, I've got a non-compete with Quirky and Viatech. So once these units sell out, I can't make these anymore. Because they're making the Posset for me. Was you familiar with the Posset? Are you familiar with the Posset, the other dog fountain?
I am not.
Okay. Yeah, you can Google that. It's just Here, I'll show you. I got one right here.
Okay.
This here, you can see it's a dog fountain.
Nice.
And this is called the Posset. Then on the back, they even put my picture. That's my picture right there. It's got my name, Tony Lytle from Marville, Indiana. And then over in this corner, that's the company Viatech. I don't know if you can see that there. Yeah, right, Viatech. But this is what we're selling, or going to be selling. It's actually selling now. It came out. They brought it out in, I think, March. Last week or two of March. It's actually, they brought it out on HSN, Home Shopping Network, and it did okay. They was expecting to sell more, but anyway, then it was on Amazon. Amazon's 3 or 4 sellers there. I'm selling. I bought 100 of them, and I got 200 more ordered. So once it's dog fountain, I got 175 of those left, maybe a little less, maybe 172 right now. And once those are gone, they're gone. I can't, non-compete. So that's where I'm at now.
Do you have plans with Quickie and Viaduct to do another order in the future?
Well, just of the faucets, yeah.
Okay.
The plastic one I just showed you. Yeah, I'm almost sold out of the first. When they come out in March of this year, I ordered 100 right away. They sent me 100, and here last week, and I sold 65, about 65 of them last week, and then I got not your site. I got a site with Onega, but I got another site that sells just the faucet, and I called them up. I said, hey, shut it down. I'm going to run out of product. And then I found another box at my house that I didn't know I had. My wife had moved the box from our kitchen into the garage, and I thought I took it to my shop, and I was out there getting a beer or something refrigerated the other day, and I seen this other box. And I opened it up, and it had like 20 some faucets in it. So I'm going to wait till I get 200. The other 200 I thought would be here this week. They haven't got here yet. They're coming out of Tennessee, Viatex down there in Tennessee. So as soon as I get those, I'm going to turn the site back on.
What are some challenges that you've had in physically making this product?
Actually, physically making no challenges at all, because I own my own weld shop. It's a small shop. It's just me and my boy. And so, I got a plasma machine, I got a shear, I got a brake press, I got saws, welders. We TIG weld aluminum here, TIG weld stainless. We stick weld, we MIG weld. We got drill presses, we got plate roller. So it's a full-fledged weld shop. So it's challenges in making the product. There really has been none. Like when I made that one dog fountain for my daughter, it just in my head, I kind of knew what I wanted. I just needed a paddle, a valve, a base, and eventually and then on the internal side, there's a valve and some plumbing and some springs and things like that. And I wanted all that covered. So, I put a cap, this is my fountain here, and you step on that paddle and the water comes out here. You hook up the hose there. But inside of here, there's the valve that sits in here. There's a couple of springs back here. Another nut and a bolt, some other miscellaneous. So I wanted all that covered. So yeah, we plasma cut all these parts here in my shop. It's aluminum. This is all aluminum. And so we just prototyped. I go, well, that didn't. When I made the one for my daughter, it took a little, had to finesse it to get it just right, and had to get a couple different springs. The springs weren't working just right. They were too strong or they was too weak. But the first one went pretty good. And then when I was trying to get a product that I could sell, I had to get keep your costs down as low as I could, which was extremely hard because we used aluminum, which is very expensive. We used a lot of brass and stainless on our very first units 12 years ago. I had $83 just in parts and labor in building one. And we get them powder coated. We put decal, like the powder coating alone back then was like $6.50 a unit. The decals was $5 for a 3 decal set. The brass parts was $11.63 just for the brass. The valve was $8.50. So the aluminum, I think, was we got it laser cut the first time, was around $17 a set. And then the labor to put everything together, do all the plumbing parts, screw all that together, and do all the welding, and then packaging and shipping. So yeah, we had about $83 parts and labor on the first ones. That was 12 years. We're down to about $50 parts and labor now. But as far, yeah, then we started prototyping, like I said, to make them, less expensive. And I think I went through 3, maybe 4 different prototypes within a 2 or 3 week period, and then got it right where I wanted it. And then we just started knocking them out, knock out 100 at a time. Then we'd get low, so I'd order more parts and knock out another 200. Would get low, and then I'd get in a contract, so then I could make it. But this last time around, last year, about last summer, we made 500 more, and because I thought we was going to be on a TV program, Animal Planet. That's kind of a long story, but it's animal. There's a show on Animal Planet called Animal Cribs, and this gal she said, I like your product. I seen it on the web. I think I can get it on this show. I got to talk to the producers. And she said, yeah, a few weeks later, she said, yeah, they want to put it on the show. And then all summer long, we're emailing back and forth. And then right at the end of last summer, she emails me, says, I double confirmed it. Your doggy fountain is going to be on Animal Cribs on the Animal Planet show. So I thought, man, I better make 500 of these, or I better make a lot of these, because that gets on national TV. Whatever I got, I'm going to sell out. So we made 500 more, had $30,000 in that. And then it didn't get on the show. Didn't get on the show. We watched the first show. We had my kids over and beer and pizzas and stuff on a Saturday night, and it wasn't on the show. It wasn't on the next show. And it wasn't on the next show. And it never made it. And I kept emailing this girl and calling her, email. She would email me or call me back. I never had heard from her again. So I had 500 of those I've been sitting on for a year. I've been selling one here, 2 there, one, a couple, 2, 3 a week, nothing major, not too many in the winter. It's mostly, spring, summer, they start selling. But once a video goes viral, that's it. I've sold 550 of those, and that includes 65 of the faucets, but right around 550 units in the last 9 working days. So it's been amazing. But there was no challenges at actually making it.
What makes this product superior to like just a simple water bowl?
It's like 1,000 times better than a water bowl. Because number one, the reason I came up with this was because my daughter knocked over his water bowl, and so the dog goes all day. You give him a water bowl that holds a couple of quarts of water. And some bowls are bigger. They might hold a gallon, but if they drink a bunch of it and then it gets hot, bugs get in it, dirt, slime, mold. You got to clean the water bowls. The fountain never needs to be cleaned. There's never slime, mold, mildew. There's never any debris or bugs or dirt or birds get in it. It's fresh, it's clean, it's cool all the time. So that's like, for example, in the wintertime, when I got unplug it because the hose is going to freeze, right, and cause damage, so I've got to put out that heated water bowl, and it holds about a gallon of water. That's why I put in it every morning, and then when I come home in the evening from work, I fill it up, dump it, fill it up again. And I took a bunch of pictures this past winter. Your dog will eat a bunch of food, go over to the thing, chew all his food up, and then he'll come over and get a drink of water in that water bowl. All those bits and pieces that's in his mouth drops down in there. So when I go to change a bowl at night, it's got all kinds of debris, dog food debris from his mouth. It's in there, and it's got slobber, leaves get in there. I've seen worms in there, ants. So yeah, it's like 1,000 times better than the water bowl, and they just the slime, the mold, that crap that gets in those water bowls. Yeah.
Have you ever gotten reviews from customers saying that they've had problems with the product? Like, for example, is there a way, like for example, if something were to fall on the pedal, is there a way to stop the fountain from going? Or have you had anyone have an issue with?
No, I don't know what would fall on the paddle. It only takes about 1.5 pounds to push the paddle down on my dog fountain. If something did happen like that, which I don't know how that would happen. No, yeah. If you put something on that paddle that weighs 2 pounds, it's just going to keep running until you get home or whatever, take it off, or the dog might paw at it and, pull it off or whatever. So I don't know what would be on there, but yeah, it'll keep running. But yeah, you just plug it into a hose, garden hose, and leave garden hose on all summer, from spring until like up here around, first part of April, middle of April, clear into sometimes into November. You never turn the hose off, and it doesn't leak or anything like that. It's just the only time water comes out is when a dog steps on the paddle. Yeah. So the only questions I've ever had, and I get a lot of this, it's even on the some of the forums, and like there's like 3 videos that are going viral right now. The one you ever heard of Bored Panda?
Yes.
Bored Panda. They did a video, asked my permission to use some video that they had seen, and I said, yeah, sure, go to my YouTube site. There's a bunch more video there. And so they put this video together. It's got over 1 million hits and a million views in the last. When did that come out? Earlier this week. It's already got over 1 million views. It's on my Doggy Fountain Facebook page, which Onega built that for me, and it's also on my regular Facebook page. But you can watch that video. It's a really cute, awesome video. It's especially the very last 3 seconds of it. You got to watch. But anyway, yeah, it's cool. The one question I get asked most about is how do you keep, when you got a garden hose that sits outside and it's on and it's laying out in the water, and the hose is going to get hot. When you first turn it, like if you got a sprinkler head on it, you're spraying your garden or something, or want to wash your car, or that hose has been sitting out in the sun all day, it can get very hot. So I've got on my website, I had that same problem myself, and when I was testing this, and because I had bought I think it's around 80 feet of garden hose, two 50-footers, or a 50-footer and a 75-foot hose hooked up from the back of my house, runs around the back of the garage, and then on the one side of the garage, and the dog's kennel is right there. And so I came home one day and got in the kennel to let my dog out. It was a real hot day, like 95, 90. It was miserable. And I just happened to look over his dog fountain, and underneath of it was completely dry. And I'm going, man, he should have been drinking water all day long. So I went over there to see if it was working. I stepped on the paddle and I kind of washed my hands a little bit. It's good for that too. If you're outside gardening or whatever you're doing, you get your hands dirty, picking up leaves or tree, whatever, go over and wash your hands. I even drink out of it. I drink out of it too. My grandkids love it. They'll drink out of it. But anyway, so I went over there, and so I stepped on it and went to wash my hands, and the water was really warm. I went, oh, that's probably why he's not drinking out of it, because that water is just too hot for him to drink. So I said, man, what am I going to do? And I got this on my website too, doggiefountain.com. It's the very first FAQ is how do you keep the hose that sets in the sun, cool? How do you keep that water cool? And so what I did was, his kennel's pretty good size, and it doesn't even have to be in a kennel. It could be outside. It could be anywhere. But he's in a 20 by 30 chain link fence, so it's 600 square feet. There's a couple dog houses in there. I had another dog at one time, and so what I did was where the water hose came in and his dog fountain was right there. I dug a hole about, I don't know, 16 or 18 inches across, about this big, and then maybe a foot deep. And then I got 25 more feet of garden hose. Then even unwrap it. You buy it at the store, it's all wrapped up. And so I set that hose down into the hole, then hooked up the other hose to that, and then the hose that come out, and then hooked that to his dog fountain. So there's 25 foot of hose in that, fill it up back with dirt. And so it works anywhere, anytime, any place. You got 25 foot of garden hose. And it could probably even be less than that. Probably, well, I think hoses normally come in 25 foot lengths, but you can get a 25 foot length of hose for 10 or 11 bucks, It took me like 20 minutes. It's on my website. You can see it. Just dug that hole, put that hose in there, and hooked it up on the one end, and had a little piece come out the other end, hooked that right into the dog fountain. And I can go out there anytime, and it could be 100 degrees outside. and I can go over and turn that faucet on, and that water's coming out about 60, 65, sit around 60, 65 degrees. It's really cool.
That's a really smart solution.
Yeah, it works really well. It surprised me. I didn't know if it's going to work or not, but even the hot water that comes around to the house goes in and then sits in that 25-foot hose in the cool ground for any period of time. It just cools it off, really well. And he doesn't drink 25 feet of water. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of water in 25 feet of hose. He'll just go over and drink for maybe 10 or 12 seconds, and then he's done. So then any hot water that did get back into that hose, within a few minutes, it cools off again. And so, yeah, that I get it. With all these dog fountains I've been selling, and even on some of the videos, that's a lot of things that people will say is, what about the hot water in the hose? Why don't, So me and my wife will get on there and we'll just say, hey, go to doggiefountain.com, read the #1 FAQ. Problem solved. So and then somebody will write back and say, oh, that's a good idea. Not everybody does, but some people do.
So you mentioned one of your videos on Bored Panda had over 1 million views.
Right.
What does it feel like to have a video get seen by that many people?
That's pretty amazing. It's a good feeling because, it's a very good feeling. You're kind of beside yourself, You look at it one day and you've got 100,000 hits already before, somebody sends it to you, or Bored Panda sent it to me. By the time I got it, already had 100,000 hits. Then the next day it's 300,000. The next day it's 700,000. The next day it's 1.1 million hits. I told Onega, there's a guy out there on YouTube, and he's one of those guys that gets, has 10 million viewers or 10 million subscribers. And so that's how he gets money for all the advertising that comes through his site. But he tests things all the time, like garden implements, garden tools, or home kitchen products, or different things. He tests things, and I contacted him a month or so, maybe 6 weeks ago, and somebody sent me a site, said, hey, get your dog fountain on this site. And so I emailed him and I said, hey, I got this dog fountain I'd like you to test out. I'll send you one for free. Well, I never heard from him. He's got 10 million viewers, so he's not going to be able to answer, hundreds of thousands of emails, people wanting to test stuff out. So I kind of forgot about it. Well, then last week when I started selling those dog fountains like crazy, I got an order from him. He's called the Crazy Russian Hacker. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah.
Onega that she hadn't heard of him, and I told my wife that. She goes, "Oh, don't get on that site. He's going to hack. He's going to hack your website. And he's going to hack your." I said, "No, that's not what he's about. It's a hack in a different way. It's not like hacking your computer files and all that stuff." So he ordered a dog fountain off of me, and he tested it. You can go to that site, the Crazy Russian Hacker. It was just posted. He ordered a fountain not this past Monday, but the week before. So like on the 16th or 17th, he ordered a fountain, and he put a video together by this weekend. I think I seen it Saturday. I subscribed to him, so anytime he posts something, I get, it comes over my thing and I can watch it. And he's got that heavy Russian accent. So he said, today I'm going to test the dog fountain, and so yeah, he had mine, and he had another one. There's a knockoff of mine. It's the one that when I was with API, the second company that I was with, and they made that really faulty product. I'll show that to you. It's this one here. But this one just had so many problems with it, so many defects. So anyway, after I ended my contract with API, they stopped making them. They weren't selling them anymore. And a couple of years later, they the guy sold his business to somebody else. And then this white, that white fountain I just showed you started showing up again. It was Amazon was selling it, eBay was selling it. And so I called Tom Rusci up there, and he said, no, he no longer owns this business. He sold it to this other company. So I called that company, and they said, no, we know about that, but we don't make it. We don't import. We have nothing to do with that. And I said, well, somebody is. And so we contacted eBay and Amazon, and they said, well, you need to hire a lawyer. And so anyway, that crazy Russian hacker, when he tested he tested the posset, that little red one I showed you. He tested that one and this white one. And he tested the white one first for just a couple of minutes. And then he had my red and the posset he did for the rest of it's I think a 10-minute long video. It's like 8 minutes. And he didn't really show the other one again. So I don't know if he's having problems with it or it broke or it didn't work, but he showed that white one for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and then he showed the posset for the next 8 minutes. And he has three Siberian Huskies that's always with him when he's doing these videos, and you might have seen that. But he was trying to get them to use the fountain, and within just a few minutes, the one dog, well, 2 of them were almost using it. He says, yeah, this is going to take a couple of days, maybe 3-4 days. He says, most dogs aren't going to learn it, within 5 or 10 minutes, like his video was trying to show, because he just ripped it out of the box, hooked it up, and was starting to use it. So if he worked with them dogs for, 2 or 3 days, each one, he's got 3 dogs, so it's kind of hard to, anyway, he said he's going to do another video. So I'm going to have to do another video on this and come back. So he might be on again with the posset again. But yeah, that video was taken. Last time I checked it, and this was earlier this week. I think it had 350,000 views in like 4 days. That was by Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it came out Saturday. I need to check it again, see how many views he's got now. But yeah.
Do you have any funny stories about the product or the making of the product that you'd like to share?
Excuse, what was that again?
Do you have any funny stories about the product or the making of the product that you'd like to share? Like anything that stands out?
Funny stories. There's one that sticks in the back of my head. It's not really a funny one. This gal in Texas emailed me one day, and that's when I was selling my dog fountains. And she goes, hey, my daughter is a veterinarian, and we also have a kennel, and we sell these dogs, or high-end dogs, like, I don't know, $3,000-$4,000 dogs. Beautiful, big dogs. They almost look like a greyhound, but a bit taller and lots of hair, like an Afghan hound. Beautiful dogs, real long noses. And she says, we got them in the kennels. We got 10 kennels out back where we sell and breed these dogs and stuff. And she goes, she goes, we bought one of those white doggy fountains, the one I just showed you. And she goes, but it doesn't work. She goes, is that yours? And I go, no. I go, it used to be mine, but I ended my contract. And then she goes, well, I see you've got this blue one, this different one. Is that yours? I go, well, that white one used to be mine, but I ended my contract with them. But now I'm back to making my blue one again. And she says, does it work? I said, oh yeah, it works. I said, it's wonderful. I go, I've never had any problems with it. I've never had any returns on it. I mean, people will call me and say, thank you. And so she goes, well, what we want to do is hook up one fountain in each of our 10 kennels, like run a header pipe all the way down from one end to the other, and then run drops off of that header pipe, put a dog fountain here, on all these kennels. And she said, can you give me a deal if I buy 10 of them? And I think back then I was selling them for either $75 or $99. I don't remember. That was years ago. And I said, I'll tell you what, if you buy 10 of them, I said, I'll charge you for 8. Go on the internet, go to my website, buy 8 of them, and I'll give you 2 free. Because I basically saved a ton of money on shipping, because when I ship these separate, like one at a time, even now, if I ship one to California, it cost about 14 bucks. The other day I shipped 3 to California, 14 bucks. 3 in one box, same price, 14 bucks. So if I'd have shipped her 10 separate ones to Texas back then, it might have cost, say, 9 bucks a piece. But when I put all 10 of them in one big box, it was only like $40 versus $100. So I saved 60 bucks there. So, but that wasn't really a funny. I did have another gal call me one time. She goes, I got 5 dogs in my backyard, all different kinds of dogs, shepherds, huskies, a little chihuahua. It's not chihuahua, but a little dog. And she goes, I am constantly cleaning and filling these water bowls. She goes, I got several of them out here, just constantly clean all day long. She goes, it's like a job. And so she bought one of these dog fountains off me, just the one. And she called me back. She was practically crying. She said, you would not believe how much time and energy this has saved me. This is the best thing ever. Thank you so much. But things like that encourages me. It's like I can't stop no matter what. If the company fails, I keep going. If the next company fails, I got to keep going. But just the funny thing is the kids, my grandkids, they're from 8 down to 4, 5, no, 3, 4, 5, and 8. And they come over to the house. We live out in the country, and I got another dog fountain hooked up out in the yard. So when they come over, if the dog's out, they play in it and drink out of it, and wash their hands in it, and, different things like that. But yeah.
My last question for you. Do you have any advice for other inventors after going through this process? Any words of wisdom?
I get away from it. Run as fast as you can. Like you say, the ups and downs. I mean, you can be on the highest of highs and you can be on the lowest of lows, just ready to cry, just ready to quit, just ready to hang it up. And then something like what's happening now happens. The amount of money I've spent, and it kind of worked out with me because I got my own shop, which allowed me to prototype, several times. If I'd have had somebody else do that, that could have cost me hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for all that type of service. And then the money you spend on a patent search, patent attorneys, websites. I built 2 websites, and then Onega's built my 3rd website. And now I've got another website. It's like a GoDaddy. It's Volusion.com, but it's kind of like a GoDaddy site where I build most of it. They help you out, the trips that I went up to Shark Tank audition twice up in Chicago. Took my nephew with me one time, took my wife with me one time, and you're spending a night in a hotel and the eats and the drinks and the gas. We went to Pennsylvania one time for a thing. Me and my wife and daughter-in-law. We went down to, you remember David Letterman?
Mm-hmm.
Stupid Pet Tricks. Remember that segment they used to have? You remember that?
I do, yes.
They had an audition down in Cincinnati, Ohio, which was probably six hours for me, 5 or 6 hours. And my dog was, using the fountain. And so I seen that, and I said, man, we got to go down there. We got to do this, get all that free publicity and free, promotion, and go down there and do this. So we get all the way down there, spend a night in a hotel. We get up real early so we can get in line, first. We was like first or second one, I think second one in line, because a lot of people showed up with cats and birds and dogs and stuff, want to promote all their tricks. What it was a big pet fair, like at the convention center, the Duke Energy Convention Center, like a big Coliseum, big thing, like your Superdome, or what do you got down in Louisiana? Anyway, it wasn't that big, but it's a big convention center. And so I'm waiting where they come out and they take all their information, you sign waivers and all that, they get your phone number, name, email address. And so they come to me and they said, what do you got here? And I said, well, I got this dog fountain. Well, they had like a ring out in the convention center where they was going to do all these pet tricks. And then they had seating, like leveled seating went up, like bleachers all around it. And then the rest of the pet convention was going on all around. People had their booths and tables set up. You can buy any kind of pet product you can imagine. And so when they come to me, they said, I said, well, what do you need? And I said, well, I'm going to need a garden hose or a hose out there because I need a hose connection. So she said, I don't know. Let me check on it. So she goes and she comes back and she goes, they're not going to allow you to have a hose back there or out there in the middle. They don't have a hose. They can't, it's several hundred feet away. And where we were sitting in the docks where the trucks come in and unload everything, like everything, semis. This dock was probably 200 feet long. It could probably hold 20 semis at the same time. So we was back there. There were several hose drops, like every 25 feet. There's a big cayenne that come down. They had a garden hose or hose on it. The next 25 feet down, same thing. And the next 25 feet down, same thing. I probably had 6 or 8 of these. And I said, look, there's a hose right there. They use it to wash off the docks and things like that. And she goes, well, I don't know if they'll come back here. Let me go see. So she comes back and she goes, and this time there's probably 50 people in line. And she goes, well, you'll have to be the last one. She goes, they're going to do everybody out there. They will come back here with their cameras and all that, but you'll have to be the last one. I said, okay, I'll wait. So meanwhile, I've got my dog fountain with me. Me and my wife and my dog, and I've got this with me. And so when we went in there, first thing in the morning, I didn't give my dog any water because obviously when it was time to perform, I wanted him to perform like nothing, just jump on there and just start drinking and drinking and drinking. I've done this a couple of other times where I wouldn't give him any, he stayed in the hotel with us. And so that I gave him a couple of ice chips during the night and a couple that morning, but I wouldn't. When we took off, he didn't have any water. And we got down there, it was a couple hours later, he still didn't have any water. So I've got this dog fountain with me, and he's on a leash, and he's trying to get some water. We're sitting in a chair like I'm sitting now, my wife's sitting next to me, and I got this thing in my lap. So he jumps up and he starts trying to get water out of it. He's trying to get water. He's jumping up, he's stepping on it. So I put it under my chair. And now he's going underneath of my chair trying to step on this to get some water. He doesn't realize he just doesn't realize that it's not hooked up to a hose. He knows this is his water source. This is the kind of funny story, I guess. So I tell my wife, I said, you take the fountain and go sit down there about 5 or 6 chairs down there, and I'll hold the dog here. And so he sees her going down there, and he starts trying to follow her. He's trying to get, so I got to pull him back, and he's trying to get the water, but he can't. So this goes on for another, 3 hours, and we get up and walk around every once in a while, and we go get some snacks because we're going to be the very last one. So finally, the gal comes back and says, "You're next. Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah. All I got to do is hook up to this hose." So I hooked up the fountain to the hose and set it down, and my dog sees me doing this. And he's going nuts. Now my wife's got it, and he's pulling and pulling and pulling. So finally they come back with the camera, and they got like 300 feet of this was when they had wires. It wasn't a wireless camera. This guy had wires all the way back to where they was in the center ring type thing. And he says, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yep." And on these you got to make sure you blow the air out of it when you first hook it up. If the hose has air in it, it'll shoot water 30 feet in the air, so you got to drain it. And so anyway, I said, "Okay, let it go, honey." That dog ran down there and jumped on that thing, and he drank, and I bet he drank for almost 3 minutes. He just he just drank and drank and drank and drank and drank, and his camera's going, it's like, how much is he going to drink? And I said, I don't know. He hadn't had water for about 10 hours, or more, or whatever it was. He had some ice chips early in the morning, but he hadn't had any water at all for probably 6 or 7 hours. And so yeah, they finally got all that. And they also had a big screen TV out there, out in that arena, or not a great big one. So people could watch it. It must have been, 10-foot diameter or something like that. It's a great big screen of some sort. So when they were doing the pet tricks out in the arena, if you couldn't see it, because if you got a little bird, it's hard to see what that pet's doing. So they was filming it, but it was also on this big screen TV, so you could watch it on that big giant jumbotron type thing. And so when they brought the cameras back to do mine out on the truck docks, I could hear those people out there hooping and hollering and just laughing and everything like that. And because they seen my dog using that dog fountain, everybody was out there, but we was back on the truck docks. And so after they got done, we picked everything up and washed it. We used some squeegees and cleaned up the docks, got all the water off the dock so nobody would slip or anything, and turn the water off and all that, And so then I went back out there and talked to the gal, and I go, "How did everything go?" And she says, "You didn't hear that?" I go, "Oh yeah, I heard it." She goes, "People loved it. They were laughing and clapping and just going nuts." And I go, "You think this will make it on David Letterman's Stupid Pet Trip?" She's all we got. We'll just take it back and show them. If they like it, they'll call you. They never called me. I couldn't believe it. If that had been another moment, if that would have got on the David Letterman Stupid Pet Trip, David Letterman show, this thing would have went nuts back then. So if we've had several in the Shark Tank. I said the guy called me back, wanted me put on a show, but I already signed a contract. So I've missed a couple of big opportunities. Some my fault, and some not my fault. But yeah, that's I would, as far as what I would tell another inventor, have lots and lots of money, lots and lots of patience, perseverance, strength, a good wife or partner, because you spend lots and lots of time on this and lots of money on this. But and you got to have a product. It can't be a niche product where maybe 10,000 or 100,000 people is going to buy it. It's got to be something that millions of people can use. So yeah, I would say run for the hills. Unless you've got somebody possibly backing you, or somebody that's going to help you out that's got deep pockets. But the average person the average guy that makes $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year can go through that $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 a year, or that type of money, in 4 or 5 years, easy. So it could bankrupt you if there's people that spend a lot more than I've spent. They'll spend $50,000 or $100,000 on a product and go bankrupt, and then nothing ever happens. So that's about it, I guess. Unless you got anything else.
No. Hopefully, this time with Quirky, everything will, and Biotech, everything will work out. And thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Okay, no problem. I'm glad we could finally get together. I'm sorry I couldn't get with you earlier last week or this week. I've just been swamped in here, and then I still got my weld shop to run too. And all I've been doing is ship. I worked Saturday and Sunday this past week because the orders were coming in fast. I'd ship one and I'd get another order for two. I'd ship one, I'd get another order for three. My email was just filling up. It just filling up. And I told my wife, I'm going to have to work Saturday. And I was only going to come in here for maybe 3 or 4 hours. I was in there, I ended up here 7 hours on Saturday, and the same thing Sunday. I thought, well, I'll go in for a couple hours and ship a few more fountains. I was in here on Sunday for like 6 hours. And so Monday of this week, I had 175 fountains to ship. And when the UPS guy come, and I got a picture of it. I got a picture of me, and I got a picture of him by all these fountains. And he comes in, he goes, I can't take those. I go, what? I go, what are we going to do? He goes, I don't know. He says, I can't take all those. I go, did I break the UPS? He goes, no, you didn't break the UPS. I go, well, what are you going to do? He says, I'm going to have to call another truck out. So I go, okay, call the cavalry, get them out of here. We got to get these things out, So he called another truck, and the truck was totally empty, not a thing in it. And they come out from Fort Wayne, which is about 40 minutes away. So they had to send out another truck. And then Tuesday, the same thing. I had 93 units on Tuesday, and he stopped it. When he stopped, he still had a lot of packages in his truck, so he could second time he couldn't take them. They had to call it. They had to call another truck second time. And then Wednesday, I only had about 30 packages. He could take those, and today I think I had 15. It's slowing down a little bit, but they're still coming in. But yeah.
Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Anthony. I sure appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for this time. And now you're going to put something together. It's going to be on the site. You guys going to send it to me?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Probably by the beginning of next week at the latest.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Tell Oneg I said hi.
I will do.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yes.
Just close.
I believe so. Yeah, I'm gonna